What would you do if you had to choose between keeping your throne and saving your kingdom? That's the choice Hygd faced, and her answer reveals something most leaders never understand. This is part 4 of this 6-part series on the ladies of Beowulf. I did a 4-part series on the heroes of Beowulf that aren't Beowulf, basically the men of Beowulf. I'll put a link to that playlist down there. It's the peoples of Beowulf, and there is a Grendel and Dragon video in there as well. But today we are talking about Hygd. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Hygd. So let's crack on with this, shall we? Let's get on with it. Excuse me. Especially our current ones. This video might get a little bit political, sorry. I don't care. The basics. Queen of the Geats, wife of Hygd, Beowulf's aunt by marriage. Daughter of Hreth, princess by birth. The meaning of her name, thought, mind and reflection. She personifies wisdom, foresight and prudence. The paradox of youth. The poem emphasizes she is very young and has spent few winters in court. Yet she is wise and well taught. Significance. Wisdom is not just for old men like Hrothgar. Hygd proves women are powerful. Are in power. Hygd proves women in power must learn quickly to survive. Jesus Christ, that took forever to get out. Okay, part 2. Her political power. Serving mead reinforces loyalty and hierarchy. We talked about this in the Watheo video. So basically, as she's going around with a cup full of mead, she does it in a very specific order which determines to everyone in the room the order of hierarchy. So she'd go to her king first, which is Hygd, and then she'll go through all of the people in order of descending order of popularity, I guess. She is liberal with gifts, distributing wealth to build alliances. This isn't just charity, it's a strategic use of treasury and secure the kingdom. Strategic use of treasury, something our Chancellor really needs to learn. She controls the hoard and kingdom, the rings and the throne. She manages the household economy and the treasury. It's like women back then, especially if you were the king's missus, you pretty much took care of all the admin, right? So the king did all the war stuff and what we'd call it like manly stuff, and she did all the other stuff. And it almost feels like these characters, well, maybe depicting what it was like to be a woman back then anyway, but knew more about this stuff than what we would describe as educated modern women. And I mean the Chancellor of the Exchequer of the Labour Party, because she's a fucking moron. She manages the household and economy. Key points. Queens were administrators with a great control over resources, not just decorative figures. The crisis and the choice. Hygd dies in battle. Her son, Herthred, is too young to rule effectively. The kingdom is vulnerable to invasion. The offer. Hygd offers the throne and the treasury to Beowulf. She prioritizes safety of the realm over dynastic succession. She trusts Beowulf more than the traditional rules of inheritance. It's because even though that's her son and it's his right to be the next king, she's more concerned about the people. Much like Watheo, when Hrothgar offered it to Beowulf, she stepped in to basically stop that, because she believed in succession and that it was her son's birthright to be king. And it would not have been fair. At the outcome, Beowulf refuses the crown but agrees to be a guardian for Hygd and his regent, so helping him with big decisions because he's a young boy. This is a pragmatic leadership. She sacrifices her son's immediate power to ensure the survival of the kingdom's safety. Part 4, contrasts. Mothrith. Mothrith is next, by the way. She's the number 4 that we've been talking about. Cruel, proud, punishes men arbitrarily before she reforms. Hygd, generous, wise, uses power for the communal good. The poem uses the contrast to teach what a good queen looks like. We'll ignore that bit there because we don't really matter. Key themes. Hygd doesn't just sit there, she shapes politics. Offering the throne to Beowulf is a radical act of peace weaving to prevent civil war and invasion. And by what she means by that, it isn't that by giving the throne to Beowulf means that there's going to be peace just outright. It means that everybody else would be too scared to attack them. And that's how we ensure this, because her son doesn't have the experience or, frankly, the name and the fame to hold people at bay. Beowulf accepts her gifts, the necklace, and her trust. Now, if the necklace is the necklace I'm thinking about, is it that necklace? Because there was a necklace in the old sagas. I think it's in the Valsanger saga. Or it's the talk again. They represent an ideal partnership. I can't remember that necklace. Yeah, I don't think it's the same one. No, I think about it. Oh, well, I could be wrong about that as well. I could be wrong about lots of things. They represent the ideal partnership. Martial power, Beowulf, big man, violent, and political wisdom, Hygd. She knows what the fuck she's doing. The tragic part, despite her wisdom, the Yeats are eventually doomed. It's not really her fault, because they probably would have been doomed maybe a little bit sooner. Hygd dies, Herdred dies, and eventually Beowulf dies. The message, even the wisest leadership cannot stop the cycle of violence in the heroic age. Hygd represents the intellectual and political backbone of society. Now, women, evolutionary, are the glue that binds social groups together. Men go out and do the hunting and all that kind of stuff. They keep the group safe and they feed them. Women hold it all together. And effectively, it's like if you look at old tribes, they'll normally always have some old woman on the fucking council, right? On like elders or whatever you want to call them. While the men fight wars, women like Hygd manage the consequences and try to keep the kingdom from falling apart. She proves that in Beowulf, wisdom is just as heroic as strength. And I think that's something that we don't really talk about in these old things, these old sagas, or even action movies, right? Is that, yes, you can go around and you can fight wars and you can win wars and you can fight beasts and demons and dragons and shit, but at the end of the day, all those actions, especially warring with other tribes, has consequences. And one of those consequences is that you might end up having to give away your daughter to hold a peace that may fail, which we talked about in the last video. The Ferraro video. And we'll get to again later on. In a world obsessed with holding power, Hygd chooses to give it away. And that cycle and that choice saved her kingdom. The question isn't whether you can hold power, it's whether you're wise enough to know when to let it go. There we are. Something our government doesn't seem to understand. I made this video a bit too political, so I apologise for that. But yeah, that was, what was that? That was part 4 of this 6-part series. The next part will be out on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Mothrith, who we briefly breezed through in this video. And so the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like either one of these 2 videos. Don't forget to subscribe and not subscribe. Like the video if you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.